Now, there is no doubt about it that Deadpool and Wolverine is the one movie of 2024 that Disney and Marvel Studios are completely banking on. They are absolutely crossing fingers that this movie will make a well above average profit around the globe to really kind of make up for the loss that happened with the Marvels and among other Marvel failures out there, and what looms for 2025, by the way, amid all of the actual issues happening with Blade 2025 and the reshoots that took place for Captain America 4, which, by the way, really upped the budget for that movie. We have a lot more to talk about that. However, when it comes down to Ryan Reynolds, this is where things begin to get pretty wild when it comes to how he actually stood in Disney's way, how he actually took a stand against Bob Iger, Kevin Feige, and everything else going on at Disney when it comes to their overall message, their overall ideology, and what actually Ryan Reynolds had to call out against Bob Iger. This is Mike Zero. Subscribe if you're new and like this video to see future updates. You can also follow me at Mike01. I thank you also very much for the great and kind support. So, Deadpool and Wolverine, we know that this is one film that's going to purely cater to the fans, right? To especially fans of the Fox X-Men movies and how there's going to be a lot of cameos coming from that. But aside from all of that, we know that Deadpool and Wolverine is going to be something of a combination of Spider-Man No Way Home and Avengers Endgame. That's kind of like how it is being interpreted as far as success levels go. Now, what's interesting about this moving onwards has a lot to do with Ryan Reynolds really calling out Disney and really kind of putting them in their place about their ongoing agenda, their ideology, their deliberate agenda, by the way, that has been shoehorned by Bob Iger for all things Lucasfilm, Marvel, etc., etc. Let's get into this. Now, with Marvel Studios' Deadpool and Wolverine getting ready for its major debut in theaters, one significant development now has more to do with Ryan Reynolds, where he recently called out and exposed the Disney agenda. Now, Ryan recently delivered the following. Well, you see, with Disney, we really went into this knowing that we were going to have some challenges with the typical message that is thrown into many Marvel films, and I mean this ranges from many of the other films that fall under Disney. It took much convincing with Kevin and Bob Iger to really set the record straight to get our film done the way we wanted, and we had an agreement. We knew that we couldn't throw in the typical ideology in a movie like Deadpool and Wolverine. It just wouldn't have gravitated properly to the audience, and that's one thing that I think needs to be dialed down a lot, is this ideology over a good and entertaining story. And I hope I don't get in trouble for saying this, but this needs to become the new norm for all projects under Disney now, not just Marvel, but I think it has to apply to everything under Disney. I just think that we as creators need to hold that permission more to have that opportunity to create something entertaining with no roadblocks in the way at all. Myself, Hugh, Sean, Rhett, and Paul really made this clear to Iger, and we did have some disagreements in that process. The conversation sometimes really got ugly, but I just think it needs to stop. I have seen many Marvel fans just tired of messages at the forefront of what should be entertaining, and believe me, myself and Sean have been having serious conversations with those at Disney and have been trying to really make that shift and to focus more on entertainment. In Deadpool and Wolverine, we sort of make many jokes about Disney, and that too also is something that Bob was standoffish about in the beginning. But like I said, all what needed to be said was that Deadpool was the exception, and it needed to be. This character breaks the fourth wall, of all things. How could you not make fun of Disney or Fox? You just have to, and it needed to be done in that fashion. Now look, I don't know if I will have a say in how films are to be made from this point forward, but the message holding that priority needs to stop and come to a halt if you really want to focus on entertainment. It was the one major criticism that Sean had with Disney and their recent direction, and how he and I have really been trying to level that out. So we will have a say where this goes, one can hope, but for now, Deadpool and Wolverine will serve as the epitome of what a Marvel film should be. We did deal with some setbacks and challenges with this overall direction of the film. Many times Iger felt that we shouldn't go here or there, but it was an uphill battle at times. Now guys, let me just stop here for one moment about what Ryan Reynolds is talking about in the midst of this press tour for Deadpool and Wolverine. Now, the reason why I think that Ryan feels a little flexible on calling out Disney is that he has had some wins here, behind the scenes, and this is something that we've been covering for the past 6 months or so, is that Avengers Secret Wars is something that Shawn Levy and Ryan Reynolds are going to have a lot of power over and a lot of strength over, of really departing from that overall ideology, from that message, from DEI getting shoehorned into Avengers Secret Wars, right? This is an uphill battle, like he said, that they're trying to actually go along with to really kind of shift away from the typical message, quote unquote, and to focus more on entertainment. And you know what I think is going to happen is that the more and more that we have individuals like Ryan Reynolds and Shawn Levy really kind of set the record straight against Bob Iger, and to really kind of use Deadpool and Wolverine as an example, that if you just focus on entertainment, if you focus on something that's not agenda driven, you can make a very good profit, you can make fans happy, you can bring in newcomers as well, and that's how it needs to be done. I mean, look at Inside Out 2, I know that was also another exception, that was another, one-off right there. It wasn't enough to save Pixar, so to speak, but it did make a very good profit. Why? It didn't really have an agenda at all. And that really kind of should be a great piece, a great example that things need to be done in that fashion, like Ryan Reynolds said. So moving onwards, alright, he goes on to conclude, so I think this film will really be a great change. You just need to shift away from that ideology over proper storytelling. If Disney wants to make a profit, this is what they have to do, and I hope this one exception shows them that pure entertainment is the way to go. But that's about all I have to say. So he does confirm that there are various jokes about Disney in Deadpool and Wolverine, and how in the beginning, this is something that Bob Iger was very standoffish about, very much distant about. Not a big shocker there. The fact that they didn't realize in the beginning that Deadpool is a fourth wall breaker. It seems like Bob Iger didn't really get that overall idea in the pre-production phase of this movie. And it's not a big surprise because, look, we know that there were some scenes for Deadpool and Wolverine that were in the making that got cut, one of which included Deadpool visiting Disney World and mocking Bob Iger. That really did not move forward into the final cut. We may or may not see that in the director's cut, which, by the way, is heavily being discussed now to be released by this holiday season and on Disney+. So what's interesting about that has more to do with Shawn Levy. Now, this is another figure that also wants to kind of focus more on regular entertainment, focusing away from that typical message, right? So we got people like Ryan Reynolds now calling out Disney for what they really are, calling out the overall ideology, the deliberate agenda by Bob Iger, and how much damage it has done to the MCU, and how the MCU should be more streamlined now, based on what has actually failed before in the past. So I would like to hear what everyone has to say about Ryan Reynolds, Bob Iger's ideology, his deliberate agenda, and how it's failing, and the push by Shawn Levy now for MCU Phase 6 and Phase 7. So if you guys did enjoy the content for today, make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel, and I will catch you guys later.